So guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is an update because I always get requested to do update videos and that, especially by Les, who always loves to watch my videos. So it's always a pleasure to do another one. Now, in this video, I'll be reviewing the previous game and previewing the next game. So if I just step quickly back to 2 games ago, where we actually played quite well and, we got a good result. And I was kind of thinking that, we turned a corner and we were beginning to move forward and be more progressive as a unit. However, the last game told us, and that's not quite the case. So, in more detail on that one, I must say, very, very disappointed, especially in the first half and the first 15 minutes of the second half. I thought we did get a little bit better after that. Yeah, not much, but a bit. We started to have a bit more pace in the game and a bit more ingenuity going forward, a bit more desire to try and get forward. But I think you could partially blame Mowbray for tactics. I think you can definitely do that. I do like the bloke. I think, he can do a good job for us. But I think sometimes tactically, he's got to get it right more often than he is at the minute. I just think we weren't up for it, like as in the sense of pace-wise, because we're always up for it, like determination and attitude and what have you, but it's just the pace of the game. That's the real big thing I noticed. It's like our pace going forward was too slow. It wasn't quick enough. It wasn't decisive enough. And, in order to break defences down, especially ones that come to your place and put up 2 brick walls, not one, you've got to, with pace, you've got to attack with pace, and you've got to get the ball sometimes direct over the top. Sometimes you've got to do it that way. It's not our style, really, but, we've got tall players in, not many, but we have got some. Ellis Sims, he's back, so sometimes you've just got to go over the top, just direct and get it, try and open the game up quicker, because what I found was it was just slow, quick, slow, and it was like that. We'll go forward a bit, and then we'll go back, and then we'll go. No, if you're going to go forward. It's as simple as that. So I think the lads got it wrong on that occasion, as well as Mr. Mowbray. These games in the Championship for me are a totally different test to League One. Totally different. Because in League One, it kind of centred around physicality a lot more. It's centred around, how shall I say, a bit like in the Championship, but wasn't as much, where like brick walls would go up and you got to try and break them down. Whereas in the Championship, it's more that, teams are better set up. The better players, and we have to adjust to that and try and be as good in this division as we were in the previous. Now, we're going to need signings, and I'll come on to that in a minute, because signings and all that stuff is something I want to talk about in a couple of minutes. So, in this Championship that we're in now, we have to learn to muscle with other players, if they're going to be rough and tough with us, we have to do the same back. We are beginning, there is signs of that happening. We are beginning to show that, but we need to do it a lot more. Really get on the front foot, not be stupid about it. I'm not talking about send everybody forward and then you've got nobody at the back. You know what I mean? But just when you're going to go forward, go as one and then come back as one, So you're not leaving everything open for them to counter-attack you, which, I mean, that was like Cardiff all over, They were just bombing forward with a counter-attack on us, and we didn't have our togetherness and shape to stop that from happening. We were just getting overrun in midfield, I thought. Several players who, I love, like Pritchard, and when you talk about Clark and you talk about Patrick Roberts and people like that, who normally you would rely on to make the game happen, make things happen and get forward, but there's too many of them on their off game. whether it was to do with the system, you know, how they were set up, whether it was to do with tiredness or something like that, you know, I don't know. Whether it's just the fact that we're not quite good enough to maintain the top 6 challenge, which, Les, I will say at this moment in time, if, based on these last few games, is the rest of the season, how it's going to go, then we won't be good enough to challenge for top 6, definitely not. I would think the way things are now, and looking at the next maybe 10, 12, 15 games, if we continue gathering points the way that we have been, we'll be lucky to end up in 10th to 15th. And that's, you know, that's my thoughts on that one. I'm hoping we can just show a bit more metal, a bit more bottle, and a bit more sort of the attitude where we say, well, look, we're going to take this game to you and we're going to show what we can do, instead of letting teams just come around us and go straight through and attack down the wings and or through the centre. We've got to show more bottle and more fight, in the sense of pace-wise. That's what I mean, not as in attitude. And because, you know, you cannot fault them for attitude and effort. It's just they've got to keep that consistency. It's got to be stepped up, you know. And I believe most of them are good enough to do that. You know, in the Championship, most of them are good enough to play at that level where that intensity is needed. But they've just got to show it a lot more. They're too in and out, too inconsistent. So, yeah, the previous game, Cardiff, I thought we let them in too easy. You know, they're not a great side. You know, I mean, let's get that one straight. They're not a great side at all. I mean, they'd lost 4 games out the last 5. So that tells you everything you need to know. The fact is, when we're at home playing against these kind of sides, like I said, they're going to put 2 brick walls up, so we have to break them down. And we have to be clever enough to do that. We have to, you know, we have to find a way through. And that's hopefully now, the preview, bringing us on to the game against Birmingham. Birmingham, for me, they're going to be very much a similar sort of a game. I think Birmingham, you'll find Birmingham's, your Cardiffs and all them teams like that, who've been in there for the league for a while. They'll play pretty much the same way. I don't think Birmingham will sit back quite as much as what Cardiff did in the first half. I think Birmingham could be more, you know, upwardly mobile, if I can get the words out. They will show a bit more tenacity in attack, and they will try and get the game going. So we have to be ready for that. This is a massive game now, because bloody Middlesbrough last night went above us. I mean, Middlesbrough of all people, they were in the bottom 3 just a few games ago. So we really have to start stepping back up now and putting in a kind of performance and to get the results that we're going to need to stay at least mid-table if we can. We have slipped down. I think it's about 17th we are now. Yeah, so we're kind of getting near the danger zone, as that song says. Let's hope that, you know, we're going to start moving back up the table again, at least get a few wins in the next 6, 7, 8 games. Now, we've only got one more game before the World Cup break comes in. So Friday night, 8 o'clock, play Birmingham. It's, like I said, it's going to be a tough game because it's away from home. It's at their ground and they're going to be well up for it. And I think a similar side to Cardiff in most respects, but I think they're better than Cardiff. So for us to get something down there would be really nice. And I'm hoping, keep my fingers crossed, hoping for a draw. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm thinking if we can go down there, keep it tight at the back. Like, I must admit, we didn't look that tight at the back against Cardiff, so we need to get that sorted out. We need to keep it tight at the back, and hopefully we can be the team that counter-attacks with pace and power and precision and get a goal. If we can get the first goal, then I will be a lot more happier, a lot more confident. If they get the first goal, then you're always worried. Sorry, I'm just getting a message through. So yeah, this is live. This is what happens on live videos. You know what I'm saying? So if we can go to Birmingham and show the tenacity that we have in previous games, you know, the games before the last couple that we've had. If we can show that kind of level of pace and tenacity and passion, and not so much passion, but pace and power, and get forward, sometimes direct, sometimes counter-attacking with, you know, a bit of tenacity and class where you're passing it to each other. And that's another thing, passing. What I've noticed in the last couple of games, the passing is not being good enough as what we normally have done. And I don't know if there's any particular reason for that. Maybe it's just a case of, like I say, tiredness, it could be, or sometimes they're just trying to do things too quickly, which is what I said when I was watching the last game. They're trying to force it all the time instead of just letting it happen. Do your passing, build it up to the halfway line, get your little 1-2s going with each other, and then burst through into the box. Because at the end of the day, if you burst through into the box, they're not going to challenge you because they give a penalty we have to do. So you've got to show that kind of drive, you know, fire. So let's hope they can. Score prediction. Me heart and me head. It's a heart and a head situation. Me heart is saying 2-1, but me head is going to say 1s each. So I am going for 1-1 draw on Friday night against Birmingham, which is not ideal, but it's a point away from home, and we can get on to the next game after the World Cup comes back, where hopefully we'll have a couple of players a bit fitter and stuff, and maybe even Ross Stewart back. Now, coming on to Ross Stewart, I've heard things going around, you know, that there's been meetings with KLD and possibly discussing things along the lines of who might be sold and who might not be. Me personally, I've not heard anything that is going to be sold, and I don't believe we should sell him because we don't need to. The difference is if he wants to go. That's the difference. If a player wants to go, then you cannot make him stay. So what you have to do there is balance that up. If he wants to stay at the club, then we give him a better deal. Simple as that. You know, we give him a better deal, get him to stay at the club, because in order for us to move forward, he is a type of player we have to keep and then build with around him, with that team, and hopefully that will happen. I'm hoping we don't sell him, because if we do sell him, A, it's not good enough because we need to keep the best players, but B, if we do sell him, we have to have somebody in line ready to come in to take over straight away, because we're short, very, very short on numbers up front. Him and Ellis Sims, and that's it. You know, there's no one else. So my hope is that we keep him at least to the end of the season, see where that takes us, and you know, if we can try and get him on a better deal, do it, because he's good enough. You know, he's certainly good enough at this level, and hopefully that will be the case. So I'm going to stop this video there, guys. So I've previewed the last match and I've done this match coming up. It's a World Cup break after Friday, so obviously I won't do any videos on the Sunderland front up until when we're coming back. I might just do a video or two. Les, are you watching? World Cup and how our Sunderland players are doing in the World Cup. So stay tuned for that one, because you've got, you know, your different players going off and playing for their countries, like Bailey Wright for Australia, and Costa Rica. You've got Juice Bennett, Costa Rica. I think it's Juice Bennett that plays for them. So yeah, so you've got possibilities there of videos coming up that is looking at Sunderland players who are playing in the World Cup. Will the Loch Ness Drogba be there? Probably not, because I don't think he'll be fit enough. But watch this space, and if you haven't already, you know what to do. Subscribe to get the channel. Okay? Thanks for watching, especially Les, my #1 fan. So yes, so watch out for more videos. Like I said, the World Cup, how our players are doing in that, and then when the players all come back for the league, and that's when the videos will start up again for that. So take care. Wish you well. Thank you.